And now we start our briefing that is about the presentation of the image UN 100 project. And Yulia Marushevska, Maidan civil activist, author of I Am Ukrainian video. Gennady Kurochka, who is the board member of the USMC. Vyacheslav Klimov, partner of the project. Nova Poshta, general director. And Volodymyr Popereshnyuk, partner of the project, co-founder of Nova Poshta company. Valery Chali regrettably cannot join us because he has an impromptu meeting.
Our next briefing on the topic, the presentation of the unique United Nations 100 project. As a speaker, we have Yulia Marushevska, Maidan civil activist and author of I'm Ukrainian video. Gennady Kurochka, Ukraine Crisis Media Center board member, Vyacheslav Klimov, partner of the project Nova Poshta, CEO, and Volodymyr Popereshnyuk, partner of the project and co-founder of Nova Poshta company. Unfortunately, Valery Chali, the deputy head of the presidential administration, cannot attend the meeting, our press briefing, because he has a meeting now. So, welcome.
And good afternoon, friends. Today we would like to present the unique project which is called UN 100. That is an example of joint work between the civil society, our Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, business, the partners of Nova Poshta, and the presidential administration, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the representative mission of Ukraine in the UN. This book was presented to more than 150 presidents of different countries. We basically created the brand UN 100, and we dedicated it to the countries that voted 5 months ago against the annexation of Crimea in the UN. That is the multimedia project. In the first page, these are the main violations of international norms by Russia. The Helsinki Declaration, United Nations chapter, and Budapest Memorandum. And during annexation of Crimea, 47 international agreements were violated. There's an address from the president. This address was prepared personally for each president of the country. We have the multimedia screen. When you turn it on, there's the address of Yulia Marushevska, and she will tell about that a little more. Now I will give the floor to Yulia, and we'll be able to show the first video how this is happening.
Dear President Obama, for your support in these dramatic moments in our history. A few months ago, Ukrainian people have paid an enormous human price for their right to live in a free and democratic society, to have a just and honest government. But our progress has been hijacked by the rulers of our neighbor and former friend, Russia. Here in the heart of Europe, they started an undeclared war, a war against our newborn state. First, they've occupied Crimea. Now, they're sponsoring terrorists in the east and sending Russian army onto our land. Why? Because Russian government couldn't stand to have a truly free people so close to its borders. Because freedom destroys empires. This year, thousands of Ukrainians were killed because they had courage not to give up our dream of a free, independent, prosperous Ukraine. And we will never ever give up. The mentality of the Soviet era has gone. We were reborn in this revolution to create a successful state of a free people. And Putin will be forgotten, because the past can never defeat the future. It's an unbreakable law of nature. We are strong, but we need your support. Please help us to defend our borders. Help us to create a strong army to defend not only Ukraine, but the whole world from Russian aggression. We will never forget the price of our freedom. And we will always remember how it all began on Maidan.
А можна виключити зараз?
Власне, що ми хотіли зробити, це
What we wanted to do, we wanted to address informally the leaders of the countries. And with this address, we went to the main assembly of the UN, and we personally were presenting that to the president, to the head of each state. I don't know, was it informal, but the reaction was informal, so that you can imagine the situation. That was a big official building, huge number of people, all dressed up, many of them military, but we personally were telling our story not as politicians or journalists, but like people. We were saying that now in my country there's a military conflict, and now if we do not react, that will lead to global critical consequences for the whole world. We were trying to tell this story not in general, but tell it specifically to the Prime Minister of India, personally to the President of France, to each person. And I believe that that approach worked, because the reaction of people was, as you remember, very sincere, open. And Gibraltar said that we have no other way. We can only fight. And she said, we are on the same field with you. The President of Japan said that they were supporting us. And the heads of the states were involved into the process. We could see that. I believe this project is a good step. When we personally engage politicians not just like politicians, but as people. A human part of them we were trying to touch by that project, and I hope that worked. Now, our friends who helped to do that, that's an example of cooperation between the state and the business. These are the heads of Nova Poshta, and they supported us in this crazy idea, which was crazy but very efficient. Good afternoon. Thank you, Yulia. The idea was, despite the fact that it could seem fantastic, it was very bright, very original, exciting. And as Yulia and Gennady told us, they told us about the impressions. And they were talking about what were the impressions from of the prime ministers and the presidents who received these books. So we believe that such an instrument was used for the first time, and these officials have never seen that during the assembly of the general, during the meeting of the General Assembly of UN, any country would be giving away something tangible. So the idea was great, and Nova Poshta company is happy that we were involved into this project. The idea that with which our colleagues approached us impressed us by its patriotism and by how original it was, and we had no doubts that we will join the project. I immediately would like to say that our company probably was not the main supporter because we did not believe that this could be implemented in so short period of time, because it was about 1-2 days, and it was the time frame was hours, and we do not believe that such high technology thing could be produced in several days. But the colleagues managed to do that. And again, I would like to congratulate this wonderful team with having implemented it. As to the objectives and mission of the project, why we joined it, when meeting with a big number of foreign businessmen, we came to conclusion that despite this big volume of information about the events taking place in Ukraine, in the world, in the business community, there still is a big information vacuum, and such vacuum had to be filled in. And the world business community still does not know much about the true story of events that were taking place in Maidan. There's no clear understanding why that happened. People lack understanding of what Ukraine is now, why Ukraine has made that choice. And it was so important to explain it all, to explain why Ukraine made this choice, where Ukraine is moving, why Ukraine is ready to pay with its blood, with the blood of its best sons and daughters for victory. And that is probably the main mission of this project, to disseminate this information, to take this information to the highest levels of the world community, to explain what Ukraine is now, where are we going to. It is very important. Ukraine does need support and will need support in the future, but for that we need very clearly explain what is Ukraine, where we want to be, and I believe that is the main mission of the project, and we are proud that we had this honor to become the partners of the project.
Well, it was enough for us to have half an hour after the colleagues started to present their project, so that we agreed to take part. We understood that the business has to be responsible for our country, because if we don't help Ukraine now, then tomorrow there could be no Ukraine and no business, of course. That's why we are doing everything within our forces, and now we have forwarded a project of humanitarian post of Ukraine, where we have assembled almost 50 volunteer project of delivery of posts to the anti-terrorist operation zone, and we call upon all the businesses that are interested in the future life in a beautiful and developing country, so that they join our project and our initiative. Once again, thank you for the idea, and we will try to help to realize your ideas. Of course, investment is all very well, but the major thing is to realize the ideas. And now we suggest that you see a short video about how it happened in the UN headquarters.
Thank you for
She's a Ukrainian revolutionary star. We have special gift from our president.
That's from Ukrainian people, actually, and Ukrainian president Project.Ukraine.
And that is
For Germany at all, I think.
absolutely very good to us.
Minister, that's a special gift from Ukrainian people and Ukrainian president about Ukrainian revolution for you to know more in a hope for our future cooperation.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
You know, right?
Bless you. Celebrity. Bless.
Yeah, so Yulia, she's actually Ukrainian revolutionary star, by the way.
That's a gift from our president that we are giving to tell the story of our revolution. And you can listen to the video. Yeah, it was the central part of our city. It's Maidan. It's months of staying there. And, it's a real changes in our society, and we just want to share this story.
Thank you. And we'll cherish it. Bless you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bless you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
To you, to my friend.
Madam Prime Minister, that's a gift for you from Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko and Ukrainian people with our gratitude for you staying for UN values. Thank you so much, and we hope to cooperation. Thank you very much.
Мені здається, що
I think that these are the steps needed by our country now, some non-standard solutions going out of the boundaries, beyond the boundaries of officially confirmed rules of the game. We all know that there is an official institution where you can behave only in the way that you behave, but in some critical situations we do behave in a non-standard way. So we have to look for all opportunities to influence the public opinion in Ukraine and in the world, to influence our friends and our acquaintances and parents, and we should use all the standard and non-standard options. Information is construction, but it is also ruining and destroying. And for instance, this book is the same kind of weapon that we hold in our hands as the rifles in the hands of our guys. If you have any questions, please please ask them, because there was a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting reactions. I have a question. Could you please tell us, are there results of some news cooperation with other countries that this project led to? I'd like to believe that to some extent all the communications that we effected over during the General Assembly have influenced the events that were taking place in Australia, for instance, and the fact that some leaders of states do not shake hands or do not greet Mr. Putin. Of course, these results cannot be measurable, but I think that the attitude is changing before our very eyes, and I believe that there is a part of that is due to this project. You know, when the leaders of states are getting acquainted with our story through the eyes of Vadim Holodnyuk, the guy who was killed in a blue helmet of the UN on Institutska Street, we understand what this reaction is. They start to understand what our people were standing for and what our heroes in Donbass are now standing for. So the reactions were very warm and positive, and or maybe there is a story of a reaction that you would like to convey. What have you remembered? Well, there was quite a lot of stories, and we can publish a whole book about this. But I personally, for instance, remember that when I and Yulia were in an improvised queue to hand our project to the president, let's say, of Pakistan, there was also a small queue of other presidents who wanted to greet him on his speech from the rostrum of the General Assembly. And in a couple of minutes, we were handing this project to those presidents who were queuing together with us. I was most impressed as far as this project is concerned. Every president, even of some island state, did know about what's going on in Ukraine. They voted in favor of our territorial integrity when there was a voting on the Crimea. They understand the situation, and this happened with the Mali president. We told them what's happening with us, that we have to support our territorial integrity. And he says, yes, I know. It is very important. People from the sheikhs of Arabia to some island presidents do know what's happening here, and they sympathize, and everyone tries to help us and support us in some way. I think that we should continue pressure in this direction because there's a potential. Thank you for this beautiful project, and let's hope that it will provide us with a lot of positive results in the future and with new projects.